Dust rolled across the plain like a curtain of smoke as the stagecoach rattled toward Jed Calloway's ranch. He stood waiting by the fence, boots sunk in red dirt, hat pulled low against the wind. The sun hung heavy and mean above the hills, painting everything the color of old brass. Jed had asked for a wife. Truth was, he'd asked for company, but he wasn't expecting much more than another disappointment. Life had taught him to expect little and lose less. The coach shuddered to a halt. Laughter burst from inside, sharp as a whip crack. Then she stepped down, small, thin, and trembling. Her name was Mary Beth, though the others called her something cruel as they tossed her bag into the dust. One woman smirked. "You sure he ordered you?" The words hung there, cruel and hot. Mary Beth's cheeks flushed, but she didn't answer. Jed watched her straighten her back despite the mockery. Her dress was plain homespun, her bonnet faded, yet her eyes, gray as a storm sky, met his with quiet defiance. Something in that look tugged at him. He took her bundle, brushed the dust away, and said, "Reckon you've come a far piece, miss." She nodded. "They said you needed a wife." Her voice quivered, but she stood her ground. The others snickered as the coach rolled off, leaving only wind and silence between them. Jed cleared his throat. "Ain't much here but work and quiet." "I'm used to both," she replied. For a moment the world stilled. The storm clouds broke apart, a sliver of gold light cutting across the pasture. Jed studied her face, not pretty by town standards, but strong in a way he'd near forgotten existed. He tipped his hat. "Then let's get to it." Morning on the Calloway Ranch came cold and early. Mary Beth rose before the rooster's cry, her fingers raw from milking and mending. The air smelled of hay and iron. Her breath made little ghosts in the dawn. The ranch hands watched her work with sideways grins, whispering between themselves. "She's the one they sent as a joke," one said. She heard him but kept her head down, scrubbing the trough until her knuckles bled. Jed saw it all. He'd meant to keep his distance. Wives were for softer men. But each day he found himself watching her with a quiet ache. She never complained, never asked for rest. When the water froze in the pails, she cracked the ice with her boot and carried on. When supper burned, she laughed it off and started again. That laugh, small, nervous, but real, warmed the empty rooms more than fire ever had. One afternoon, Jed wrestled a warped barn door, cursing under his breath. Mary Beth stepped beside him, hammer in hand. "You're hitting the wrong nail, Mr. Calloway." He glanced at her, startled, then chuckled. It was the first sound of ease between them. For a heartbeat, the wind itself seemed to pause. That night, trouble came. 3 rustlers, drunk and mean, slipped through the gate, shouting for Jed's herd. Jed reached for his rifle, but Mary Beth was already there, barefoot, hair loose, shotgun trembling in her hands. "You'll take nothing that ain't yours," she said. The men hesitated, seeing something fierce in her eyes. One raised his pistol. The blast came quick, echoing through the dark. When the smoke cleared, the rustlers were gone, their horses scattering into the hills. Jed stepped to her side, his voice low. "You did good, Mary Beth." She swallowed hard, still shaking. "Did what I had to." Days bled into weeks, and the ranch settled into a gentler rhythm. The fences stood strong again, the animals fed, and laughter, small, hesitant laughter, began to echo through the yard. Mary Beth moved with quiet purpose, her once uncertain steps now steady. Yet, when the nights turned cold and the wind hummed against the windows, doubt still pressed heavy on her heart. She wondered if Jed saw her as a partner or a burden he'd learned to tolerate. One evening, the sky cracked open with rain. She sat on the porch, watching lightning stitch across the horizon. Jed joined her, boots dripping, hat in hand. For a long time, neither spoke. The scent of wet earth filled the silence. They only sent me 'cause they thought it'd be funny, she said finally. Said no man would keep the ugly one. Her voice carried the weight of every cruel word she'd ever swallowed. Jed's gaze stayed fixed on the rain. Funny thing, he murmured. I used to think I wanted beauty, someone to fill the house and ease the quiet. Turns out what I needed was someone who could look the world in the eye and not flinch. He turned to her then, his eyes soft. You did that the night those men came. You've done it every day since the rain slowed, tapering into mist. Mary Beth looked up, the faintest smile tugging at her lips. Jed reached out, rough fingers brushing hers. You were never the joke, Mary Beth, he said. You were the answer. In the pale dawn that followed, the land shimmered clean and new. From the barn came the sound of her laughter again, steady, sure, alive. And for the first time in years, Jed Calloway laughed with her.